Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel, and I hope everyone is having another fantastic day today. And in today's video, we'll be going over making a responsive and effective navbar that you'll be able to present and use in your projects using Tailwind, React, and BrowserRouter via React Router DOM. So let's get right into it. So on our screen here, we have to the top our navbar, and right underneath it, we have our simple home page. To the top left of the navbar, we have our logo, and to the top right is where we'll present our nav links and pages to the user. If the user wanted to browse through our site, they can easily do so by clicking the links. And upon clicking the links, our page will direct the users right to the respective page. Not only is our navbar functional, it is also responsive, which means the user can access our site with a mobile device and our navbar will adjust to their screen size. Now, if we adjust our screen right to a mobile device's screen, you can see that our navbar becomes completely responsive, in which a hamburger icon will appear and the user will be presented with that hamburger icon, and they can easily click on the icon, and as you can see, a drop down menu will appear with all of our links. We have our home, features, products, about, locations, and contact us link, just as we had it here. And now if the user wanted to, they can choose on which page that they'd like to be redirected to, and it will follow. But not only that, if the user decided to click the hamburger icon and decided they just wanted to get out of it, they can easily do so just by clicking the X here. So as you can see, our navbar is fully functional and responsive. The first thing that we're going to do is we are going to create a folder in which we'll have our project inside of that folder. And then once you have that folder, you can drag and drop it right into your IDE or Visual Studio Code. And once you have it dragged and dropped, you should have something like this where it says Open Editors and Responsive Navbar YouTube, if that's what you decide to call your folder. And I know I misspelled YouTube here. But yeah, so going forward here, what we're going to do next is we are going to make a folder that's called Front End. And then once we have that front end folder created, inside of it, we are going to make our React app, in which I call this React app Navbar app. So as you can see, we have it installed here, and let's just continue. So the next thing that we're going to do is we are going to definitely CD into the navbar.react app, which is there. And then definitely just make sure that that the front end changes to your React app. After this is where we would want to install Tailwind, since Tailwind is what we're going to be using. We're just going to go to Tailwind here, and then we can just go to the documentations and just copy the steps in number 1, and then just paste it inside of the command line here, or the terminal. And then that should take a second here. Now the next thing that we're going to do is go back to the documentation and go to step 2. Step 2, everything that's in the content here, we can, in the brackets, we can just copy, and then we can go to the tailwind.config file and we can just paste it inside of the content, just with the brackets, just as how they had it here. Now lastly, we can just go ahead and X this out, and we can just go to step number 3 and just copy and paste the directives for the layers, and then paste it inside of our main.css file, in which we'll do that just in a sec. But as you can see, React always comes up with all of these files. We can just go ahead and delete the ones that we don't need. So we'll just delete the setup tests, delete the web vitals, delete the logo, and lastly the app.test. Perfect. So now that once we deleted those extra files that we're not going to use, we can just go ahead and open all of them. And the way I like to open it is just from bottom up. That way it'll show our app.css, which we'll use as our main.css file, and we can just go ahead and paste our directives here. So you can just command all on a Mac or control all on a Windows, and then just paste the directives right into your app.css file. And now we can leave this open because we're going to be using it just to add our fonts as well. So if we go to our app.js, we can just go ahead and take out the logo at the top, which is the import, and then we can just head to the bottom. We go from the header to the header, and then we can just go ahead and delete that. Now we can go to the index.css, and once again, Command A or Control A, and just delete everything because we're not going to be using it, and we can just go ahead and close the index.css file. Now lastly is our index.js file, where you see this comment and the report vitals. We can just go ahead and delete that. And lastly, go ahead for this importing the web vitals, and we can just go ahead and delete that as well. Now that we have our Tailwind installed, as well as the other files deleted that we're not going to be using, we can go and ahead and focus on the index.js, where we'll be installing our React Router DOM or browser router. So in order to do that, what we're going to do first is make a new line under the import here app, where you're importing the app, and you can just type in import and in curly brackets browser router, and then from React Router DOM. But one thing I didn't do was install React Router DOM, in which we can just do that right now. So in order to do that, you can just quickly go to the split terminal here, just click it, and then you can just type in npm I React Router DOM, just like that. Perfect. So we should be good to go. Now we can just go ahead and exit that out and continue. So now that we have our React Router DOM and our browser router, we can just change it here in the React.strict mode, and you can just change that to browser router. And just like that, we're pretty much done with the index.js file. So you can go ahead and close that. And then the next file will be our app.js. So in our app.js, we are going to make a few things. We're going to make our pages, and our pages, it's going to be about 6 pages. And we'll go ahead and do that right now. So what you can do is highlight the source folder here, and then we can just create a new folder in which we'll be calling pages. So that's the folder where all of our pages are going to be coming from. And then after that, we can just start creating the pages, in which we can type in new file, and then we can type in our homepage.js. The next one will be our products page.js. The next one will be our features.js page, followed by our contact.js page and our about.js page. Lastly, we can add our locations page, just like that. And as you can see, every time you create them, they'll be pretty much opened up at the top, which will be perfect for later on. And now what we want to do is go back to our app.js, and we just want to make sure we have our routes and route imported. So we're going to go to import, and in the curly brackets, we're going to type in routes and then route from React Router DOM, just like that. Awesome. Now that we have imported our routes and our route from React Router DOM, we just want to make sure that we make the functions to be able to render our pages. So if you go to the home page, you can just type in RFCE and just click the first one, and you should see it here. And if you haven't installed it yet, definitely do so. It's also super helpful if you go to extensions and download this extension, which is called ES7 plus React, Redux, and React Native. So instead of having to type this whole thing in for each page, you can just simply type in RFCE and it'll be typed out for you. So now we can just go ahead and continue. So let's just go back here and go to products page and RFCE, features page, RFCE, contacts, RFCE, about, RFCE, and then locations, RFCE. Awesome. So now that we have completed that, we can just go back to our app.js file. And this is where we are going to make our routes, just like this. And inside of our route is going to be our elements. So it's going to be just like this. We're going to say route, self-enclosing, but it's going to be R with capital R. And then inside of it is going to be our path, which is for our homepage is going to be referencing a /. And then right next to it, we're going to just type in element. And then in curly brackets, we're going to type in home, just like that. Now we're going to do the same thing for each of our pages. So let's just go ahead and do 4 more, I believe 5 more. And let's just continue. So this one will be our products, which is the path. And then this one is also going to be products. And now it's working. Sometimes it's not working for me, but which is a cool thing. Now it's working where it auto imports it by itself. So as you can see, it auto imported the pages, which is cool. So if it's doing the same for you, what you can do is just click on the E or after the E and just hit Control and spacebar, and then it should be the first one here. It should say, it should be in yellow. Normally it's in yellow, and it should say pages. You could just go ahead and click that, and you've just imported the page there. Perfect. So we can just continue, and we can just type in features, where we'll have our features page. We have our contact, where we can have render our contact page, and then about, where we can render our about page, not about. And lastly, we can just go ahead and do so for our locations, and we'll just render our locations page just like that. And I forgot to do for these as well, so let me just take 1 second to import them. And I have features. No, I don't. Features, perfect. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and just make sure that they're all imported, because even if one is off and not imported, you'll definitely get the error. So it's 6, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Awesome. And now what we want to do as well is just import our navbar, not navigator, navbar, and then we can go ahead and see if it works here. Control space, and it's not. Did I do that? No. And that's what I forgot to make. Sorry guys. So in your source folder, you can just open up a new folder and call it, and then inside of the components folder you can type in navbar.js, which is going to be our navbar. That's going to show within all of our pages. So as normal, you can just type in RFCE and you'll have the function here, which will help render the page. And then now if you go back to the app, and now if you click control and space, you should have it here, the autofill. You just click it and it'll be autofilled just like that. So now what we're going to do is just add some stuff to our page here, like the color, the background color, and we'll just make this background and then 1A, 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 and then we want it to be the width to be full. We want the width to be full and the height to be screen, or 100 viewports, which equals it. Perfect. So now what we're going to do is, I just want to be able to, every time you click on the link now of each page, you just want to have that rendered. I just want it to be in the middle, just like the beginning of the page or of the video. So we'll just go ahead and do that. So we can just go to any here, which would be home. And then you can just erase that. And then class name, we're going to say text white. We want everything in this div to be a text white. And then we want it to be flexed, justified center, and then items straight to the center. And we want the width to be full, as well as the height to be screen or 100 viewport height. Now what we want is the H1, and we'll say home, and we want the home to look like this. We want it to be text 4XL. So we want it to be pretty big. That way the user can know which page they're going to be on. So now that we have that, we can just go ahead and copy and paste this, or if you want, building that muscle memory, especially when it comes to Tailwind, is great. But what we're going to do is just paste it, copy and paste it. So here, and we'll just change this to product. Let me make it in caps, products. And then this one's going to be features. So we can just go features and then contact. We'll just say contact us. This one will have about. And then lastly, locations will have locations. Awesome, guys. So now that we have our navbar up and running here, and we pretty much have everything else set up, what we're going to want to do is render everything, and we want to be able to see it. So one way we can do this is just go back to the command line and type in npm start to start the React server. So it'll take just about a few. So the first thing that we're going to do is just lay everything out. So we're going to go ahead and just erase this, and then we're going to change the div to a nav. Then after the nav, we're just going to have an H1 in which we're going to have our logo. So we're going to call it navbar.co, just like that. And then right after that, we are going to have our UL. And just so we can see everything, let's just add the background color to the navbar. So it's going to be BG #, and it's going to be E. It's going to be like a nice kind of like grayish color. Perfect. Now we shouldn't have any problems looking at our navbar here. So we can just continue with our ULs. And then what we're going to do here is we're going to make a list, since we're using the unordered list, but on the outside of the list, we're going to have our links. which is similar to an anchor tag with an href with our pages. So inside we're going to say li, and then let's do this about 5 more times since we have about 6 pages in total. And one more. Okay. Now we can go ahead and just list everything that we want from our pages. We have home, we have features, we have products, we have about, we have locations, and lastly we have contact us, just like that. And now I know you see the error here that we just got. We can just easily have that fixed because we just need to import our link. So we can just go on the next, right underneath import React from React. We can just type in import curly brackets link from React router DOM, like that. And then sometimes it'll say this here as well. You can just double check it just by refreshing the page, and as you can see, it's been gone. And now what we're going to do is just add our finish setting up our links. So for the first one, we're going to say to, and then equals, and then the single quotes. So what I'm going to do is just copy this. That way when we go on to the next ones, I could just paste them in. And this one, since it is the homepage, pertaining to the homepage, we're just going to make a /. Awesome. So now the next one, we can just paste it, and inside we're going to say / features. The one underneath it, we're going to say / products. The one after / about. Then with just 2 more, which is the locations / locations. And lastly, we have to / contact. Let me just make sure that's correct. It's contact. Yep, contact. So perfect. And as you can see, if you go to each page, it'll take you to each pertaining page, which is awesome. Perfect. So now that we are done setting up our links, the next thing that we're going to do is just go ahead and pretty much style everything. So we're just going to go back up to this nav here, and then we're just going to add a flex. That way we can move this up here. And then we're just going to add some space. So we're going to say justify between, and this will go all the way to the right here. Awesome. So now that we have that, we want to add some padding as well. So we're going to say P5. So about P5 padding there. Then since our logo is going to be pretty big, we want this to kind of be like in the middle of the whole logo word. So we're just going to add items center, just like that. And then we're going to have a border B, although we don't really need it because we it's going to be 2 separate colors, but I'll just have that added there as well. That's pretty much it that we'll need for our nav here at the top here. So if we go to the H1 here, let's just add a class and style it, and the only thing that we're going to add is a text, and we're going to make it 4XL. Look at that, guys. Now the next thing that we can do is go to our UL, and then for our UL, we're just going to say class. And right now, if you port at the mobile view, but if we make it bigger, it's going to be pretty much in a big screen like your computer screen or monitor. So what we can do here, and you can just test it out as well, we'll say hidden, and hidden, this should go away, and look at that, guys. So now it's hidden. So if you just move it to a bigger screen, it's going to be hidden still. And one way that we can go ahead and fix that is just saying SM, and then you're going to just add what you want to add. Actually, let's change this to a medium because it was medium. And then we're going to say flex, and then gap, we're going to add about 6. So as you can see, it's not here, but then as I move it more, bigger the screen, it's going to show. And then let's go back. Let's go forward back. Look at that, guys. And the reason why it's doing that is because if you go to Tailwind here and you go to, I believe it was customizing screens, should be the first one, and it'll tell you what the heights what the widths are. So it's going to be small is 640 pixels, 768 pixels is medium, and then large 1024 pixels, extra large is 1280 pixels, and then 2XL is 1536. So pretty much it. That's pretty much it for the mobile side, which is pretty cool, right? So if you just take a look at that, it's pretty awesome. Awesome. Now the next thing that we're going to do is we are going to get some icons from this site where I really enjoy using it. So if you go here and you can just look up React icons. I have it bookmarked, but it should be this one here. And as you can see, it's going to be react-icons.github.io /react-icons /. And as you can see, it has a whole bunch of icons that you can use for free, which is great. So in order to use it, you can just come to the home and then install it. So you can just click on the copy to clipboard here, and then open up the split terminal, and then just paste it in and just let it install for a few seconds here. Awesome. So now that it's installed, what we're going to do is we are just going to use two of them, which is going to be our hamburger menu and like our closing, which is going to be like a times or multiplication sign there. So let's look for the hamburger. So you can just type in hamburger, and the one we're going to use is RX. So we're not going to click it just yet. So since it's RX, it's most likely coming from Radix or Remix. So let's just check out Radix here. And as you can see, it's RX. So what we can do here is we can just go ahead and copy and just paste this here. So now we can just go back, and then it's going to be, you can just click it and it'll be copied, and you can just go ahead and paste it right in here, just like that. And now if we go back to our React app and we go ahead and render our hamburger menu, just to show how it's going to look, we can just do this here. We're going to say hamburger menu, and then let's do it. And look at that, guys. And then if you want to change the size of it as well, we can go ahead and do that just by saying size, and then let's say 25. And if you want, you can go 30 as well, and so on and so forth. But I think 25 is about right that we're going to be using. So perfect. So look at that, guys. So now let's just finish this actually. So what we're going to do here is we can just have this, just take this out, and then let's just make this a div here. And then once we have the div, let's just input it there that way just to show. And with this div here, we just want to add the styling to it, and then on medium port, we can just have a hidden, just like that. So as you can see, on medium, it goes away and the whole navbar appears. Now, if we go back to mobile view, the pages and the nav links go away, they hide, and now the hamburger menu pops up. That's pretty cool, right? It's definitely interesting learning about the mobile and screen sizes for React. So it's definitely worth it. So now what we can go ahead and do is just make this comment. That way we can just have things organized, and we're going to say hamburger or close icon. This is where it's going to be. And then right underneath it here, this is where our mobile menu is going to be as well. Mobile menu, just like that. Now what we want to do first is just we want to make sure that let's just go ahead and import the close button as well. So this one is going to be called times. You can just type in times, and it should be this one, FA times. So you can just go ahead and go to the time. So FA should be font awesome, and it should be font awesome 5. So you can go ahead and copy this and paste it, and then you can just actually just go onto icon and just type in FA times if you remember what it was, and it'll be there. So now if you go ahead and want to render it and see what it looks, FA times, just like that. Now it should appear. Look at that, guys. Looks really good. Perfect. So we're just going to take this out for now. Awesome. So now that we have everything pretty much set up, now what we're going to do is just make some variables. That way we can open the hamburger menu. So how we go about doing so is we're going to say set nav equals useState, and then we're going to make this false. And it's going to give us some error. So let's just import useState really quickly, just like that. Let's just refresh the page, and it should be over with. So once again, we just define a variable using the useState hook. So we're saying const, and then we're saying nav, and set nav equals useState, and it's going to be starting and false. So let's just make a comment there as well. So we're going to say nav is starting off false. And now we're going to make another const here for our handle click. So we're going to name it handle click. So we're going to say handle click equals, and then just make the function here, and you're going to say set nav, not nav. Okay. And then let's just make another comment here and say, so when user clicks the hamburger button, it goes from false, which is not nav, to true. nav. So definitely keep this in mind here. So just remember that the use state, so our nav is starting off as false. And the reason for that is basically when the user automatically just goes to your website here. If you had it true, that means this would pretty much be showing right from the start. And the user doesn't even have to go ahead and click this. And that's not really what you want for the user experience. So you just want it to appear when they click on it. So that's why we are setting the use state to false. And it's going to be kept there until we tell it to do otherwise. In which when we click it, that's when we want it to open and then show our mobile nav menu there. Awesome. So now what we're going to do here is we are just going to come to our hamburger or close icon. And I said icon. icon. So what we're going to do here is we're just going to copy this, and then we're going to use a ternary operator, and we're going to say nav 8 times, and I'll explain it in 1 second as well, just like that. And then we're going to just type in our hamburger menu, just like this. So basically what we're saying is if nav is true, remember everything to the left side of the colon is true, and everything to the right side of the colon is false. So we're saying if nav is true, then render the F8 times icon. If nav is false, then render the hamburger icon, in which is doing that right now. As you can see, it's rendering the hamburger icon. So let's just go over it one more time here. So what we did was we made a ternary operator here, and then we were saying, let me just make this a little smaller here. Okay. So we're saying if nav, remember nav is coming from here, from our use state. If nav is true, we render F8 times. So we want to render the X icon. If it's false, we want it to render the hamburger menu. But remember this now, since we are already starting off as false, it's already pretty much done for you. So it's rendering the hamburger menu. And just like that. So we can just make this size 25. And then we can make this as well size 25. So now that we've added our closing icon as well as our hamburger icon, and they render pretty much when they need to, the next thing that we're going to do is just add our on-click buttons or on-click features here. So we just go to this div here next to the hidden under our hamburger or close icon comment side here. And we're just going to add an on-click just like this. And then we're going to say handle click. That way, once now we hit it, as you can see, it's opened. And now if we hit it again, it's going to be closed. Look at that, guys. So now we're going to render everything, and we should be able to see it because it's going to be opened. So we can go about doing so if we just come under the mobile menu, and then this is where we're just going to make our UL, and our ULs under our ULs is going to consist of all of these links that we made here because they are also lists. So let's just add this here, and as you can see, everything is showing. So what we're going to do here now is we're going to make another class just like this, and then instead of the single quotes, we're just going to erase those and make them curly brackets just like that. And now, and don't worry about this error you're getting at just because there's nothing inside of the curly brackets for now. But what we're going to use now is called string interpolation. So it goes like this. We're going to add our backticks, in which is on the keyboard on the left side of your number 1 and on top of your tab button on the left side. We're going to add our money sign and then our curly brackets, just like that. And then we're just going to make space and hit the enter button. That way we can just have everything a little spaced out and a little more organized. So now we're going to make our ternary operators and just say nav and then question mark. So remember, we're saying if nav is true, render this part. So what we want rendered is the the text white, opacity, we want it to equal 100. We want transform and then translate x0, which is pretty much not doing anything on the x-axis. So right after this, what we're going to do is, just to take away some of these errors here, we're just going to add our colon, and then as if we're going to write some more. You can add your single quotes or double quotes here. So now what we're going to write here is we're going to type in, we want the opacity to be 0. And as you can see, it's not showing here, but if we hit the hamburger menu, as you can see, it pops up. So it's working. It's pretty much working. Now, that's pretty cool, right? Now you hit the X button and it goes away. All right, that's awesome. So now let's just finish it off. So we're going to say opacity 0. We're going to say transform. And then translate on the y-axis to be full. So basically what this is saying is that we want it to, on open, we want it to come down like just like this, vertically. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to move just this here, because everything after this curly brackets, we can pretty much is saying that we can add more. That's why we're using the string interpolation here. And now we're just going to continue with our CSS and just finishing it off here. So we're going to type in, after that, we're going to say transition, transform, absolute, and just like that, like keep it. My best advice as well, if you're having trouble knowing what pretty much what this is just look at what you're writing and look at on the screen. So have it open if you have it just like this. Definitely have it open, that way you can see where exactly everything is going. That definitely helps see where everything is going, as well as when you're writing stuff. So you can transition, transform, absolute, and then we're gonna say we want it to be on the top 0, so it just brings it down a little bit, and then we want it to be on the left 0 as well. So should move it a little to the left. Perfect. And now we want the screen size to be the width to be full, 100%. And then as well, we want the height to be H screen or 100 viewport height. And now we want just the background. Let's say we want the background to be that nice zinc color from our previous projects. Zinc 880, we can say, just to give it some opacity. So look at that, guys. So now, what happened there? It'll get fixed there, but 80 with opacity 80. And then lastly, what we can do is we can just add some flex. That way we can just move this to the right and then to the bottom here. So we're going to say flex column. And we can bring it back here. We're going to say justify center to bring it down, and then items center. Look at that, guys. And lastly, let's just make a text, the font to be a little bigger. Let's say 2XL. Awesome. Look at that, guys. Look at that. That's looking so much better now. Perfect. And then now what we can do is, do you see how this X is here? That's because it's still kind of like under this whole thing. So one way that we can do it is, we can pretty much fix that is going back to the div here, which is for the hamburger or close icon, and you can just make a Z10. As you can see, it's kind of like out of it here. So we can just go ahead and add a color if we like, and we can just say color, and we can say white. And look at that, guys. Now if we hit it, perfect. And then now hit it back. Look at that, guys. Now it should take you, actually it's why, oh yeah, it's actually taking, yep. So look at that, guys. Sorry, it looked like it wasn't doing anything for a second, but it pretty much is. So look at that, guys. So now we have a fully functional responsive nav bar. So look at this, guys. So let's just open it. As you can see, the whole nav bar. You can still go to whichever page you'd like. And now on a mobile screen, we can just go ahead and hit the hamburger, and look at that. It just comes straight down. And if you wanted to, let's just add some padding. That way, just give it some breathing room. So what we can do is just come to this LI here and just choose all of the LIs using command and just clicking, and then just add a class name, and then let's add a P2. Let's see how that looks here. Oh, that looks a little bit better, but it looks much better that way. It's not pretty much it's not too suffocating each other. And lastly, what we can do here is let's just add a hover, and of course we're going to add text teal, that awesome teal color, and let's say 800. See how that looks. Yeah, look at that, guys. Now if you exit it out, perfect. And if you wanted to as well, what you can do is just inspect it. And what I like using as well is this here, activate the mobile view on this page. You can just click it. I forgot if this was an extension. If it is, I'll definitely add that to the description as well. But what this is able to let you see is how it looks on different devices. So if you go to like an iPhone 5, you can see how it's going to look on an iPhone 5. Just click it and look at that. And now home, perfect. Now let's go to an iPhone 12 Max. A little bit bigger. We're on a home page. Hit it, and then let's go to about. Awesome. Just like that, guys. That's pretty awesome. Oh, and I just noticed as well, as you can see, if we go back to our mobile menu here, just like this, it's not going to get out of it. You'll see the back where it says about locations. It's changing, but it's not taking you to that page because it is taking you to the page, but the mobile menu is still going to be popped up, and we can easily fix that. So if you just go to your mobile menu here, and then you can just go all the way to the top where it has the class. It should be the class name for the UL here, and then right here you can just go ahead and add the on click, just like that, and then you're going to type in the parentheses, and as if you're making a function, and you're going to say set nav to false, just like that, guys. And now it should be working, so let's give it a try. Open it, go to home, and look at that. That's awesome. Now let's try one more time. Open it, about, and it takes you right to it. And now that's happening because of the on click. You're setting it, and on click you're setting it to false, which is pretty much closing the mobile menu. So that's pretty much it, guys. I hope everyone had a good time making this pretty cool project. I really had a fun time making this as well, and it's pretty cool, and I hope to see you guys using this to your So that's pretty much it. Guys. I hope everyone had a great time with this project. And I know it was quite a little lengthy, but this is the most easiest way, and I hope it was an easy way. But it just remember, just the more you do it, the more it becomes easier. So just definitely keep building that muscle memory, and I promise you things will definitely get easy or easier. All right, guys. So until the next one, thank you so much for stopping by and watching the video, and have a good one.